I got enough light here?
Yeah, lighting is great. You look 25 years old.
Really? Stop it.
Alrighty, let's have a go. Welcome to Kevjet the podcast, Jimmy Rankin.
Hello.
Welcome back. Actually, welcome back because you made an appearance a few months. What?
Well, you spoke with my lovely wife back it was in like September or something like
Yeah,
that. When you were in town in Halifax, maybe the summertime, I can't remember, but I got asked to be part of the chat eventually. So, yeah, good. I'm glad to be here. Nice.
I said we were twinning when you joined.
Well, you know what? I was telling you, I did another podcast yesterday and I was wearing my nice Canadian checkered shirt. And I said, well, God, I'm going to add a link to my website. So I said, people will be saying, he wore the same shirt for Kevjets. You know how people are so fashion conscious.
It's true, and someone would have picked up on that.
Oh, yeah. And, I'll get so hate mail.
It's true. You would have been on the cover of all the papers.
Listen, you hear my dog?
Yeah, she's saying, "Thank God, thank God you didn't wear that same outfit." You'll probably hear mine later on. Who knows? For anybody who's tuning in anywhere around the world and they say, "Who is this Jimmy Rankin? What is his story?" How would we sum that up?
I'm from Nova Scotia. For those of you who don't know who I am, I'm originally Cape Breton, Nova Scotia, and I'm a musician, a singer, and a songwriter, entertainer, performer. I played with my family band, the Rankin family, all of my early years, and then in 1989, 1990, we started making recordings and actually signed with such a record label and started touring everywhere. And we had a lot of success on radio, in particular here in Canada, and did a lot of got a lot of accolades over the years, entertained many, many people. We toured a lot in the UK, in the US and Canada, some in Australia, New Zealand. Our band was kind of a Celtic folk pop country. It was sort of a mixture of all these different kinds of music with a lot of sort of Celtic based originally. Um, and Celtic fiddle, my original songs, and there were 4 vocalists in the group. You probably interviewed my sister Heather at one point. For 3 female, my sister's 3 female vocalists, a lot of great harmonies, and myself. So it was like a family band. So 1998, 99, we disbanded. And I started a solo career in 2000, 2001. I've been making recordings and touring and doing all that stuff ever since.
And we have to say, you're from a family of 12 siblings.
That's correct. Yeah.
So how do you fight for your voice in a family of 12 siblings?
You just sing louder and yell louder and talk louder. Well, that's true. We were always a musical family. Originally, that band had my older siblings. I'm the 5th youngest. Then there was Cookie, who was in the band, Carol Jean. Susan, who's not in the band but sings. She lives in Singapore. And then Heather, who joined the Rankins, the last one to join the Rankins. And Nancy, who's not in the band. But the older siblings had the band originally, and then when I was about 12 years old, they needed a drummer, so they hired me to play drums. And at that time, we used to play local functions around the communities in Cape Breton. It was just like weddings and dances, and it was always entertaining people. And they needed a drummer one summer. And John Morris, I'd never played drums, and John Morris said, "Do you want to play drums tonight?" And I said, "Sure." So he taught me how to play drums in front of the whole hall full of people, about 300 or 400 people. It was quite an experience. I loved it, and they paid me at the end of the night, and I said, "I'm in."
Exactly, and you're still there.
Yeah. So eventually I played drums for the Rankins and started singing in my teens and playing guitar and writing songs. And then at one point we got decided to start making records and, sort of take it seriously. And Heather and Raylene and Cookie and John Morris they were doing theater, and everybody sort of finished university, and we were all sort of at a crossroads. And John Morris was playing full time Raylene was articling for her law firm at the time, and Cookie and Heather were doing musical productions, which Raylene had done as well. So we just got together and made a record, and it took off just on radio, and it was an independent, self-financed, and just took off across Canada, and music just spreads like crazy.
Yeah,
It was played on the CBC and college radio stations, which were really took hold. And then we were at that time it was cassettes.
I was going to say that was like a cassette, and you guys were like basically taking your own cassettes out to shops, weren't you?
Well, initially when we made our first record, Raylene and I went out in a snowstorm with a little Toyota Tercel in Cape Breton and went to all the gas stations and corner stores, and it was on consignment at that time too. So people, oh yeah, we'll take 3. So eventually, in Halifax, we were all living in Halifax. We had an office, and I don't know if you remember Sam the Record Man, the music store, but we had an office on Barrington Street right across from Sam the Record Man, and we started getting huge mail orders. My mom was answering the fan mail, and because we had her address and phone number on the back of the cassette. So we started selling a lot of cassettes, and with the address on there, festivals and CBC and college festivals started phoning and started getting really busy. And then record companies, saw that we were making money selling a lot of product, and they got interested right across. So it started a big bidding war, and eventually we signed with EMI like the early 90s, and then started touring a lot, like a lot all around the U.S., Canada. I went from playing theaters to playing arenas and tour buses and all that stuff.
And that's massive. I mean, that's time before social media and
yeah, exactly, and cell phones and all of that stuff. It was crazy, and it happened very quickly. And the next thing in Canada we have the Juno Awards. We started getting a lot of awards, getting nominated, and about 19, we won the 4 Junos one that night, and with all these different awards, and we really had really good exposure and doing a lot of television at the time when television shows. You could reach a lot of people, and it was more focused, it seemed then. But anyway, we did 10 years of that. It was just extremely busy, and it kind of, in a lot of ways, difficult to navigate all of that stuff. We weren't business people. We weren't, it was a family trying to figure out how to live together on the road and have our own lives. And so in 1999 we just disbanded, and I went directly from doing that to making my own recordings and touring and doing that. So I'm still doing it, dude. I'm here.
What lesson did Cape Breton teach you that the rest of the world keeps trying to unteach?
To unteach? No, I don't. We've always carried our culture and our background very proudly with us wherever we went in the world. And I wrote songs about, what we grew up with, and my sisters, they sang Gaelic songs and traditional songs. We did sort of a mixture. And my brother, John Morris, who's a master pianist, Celtic pianist and fiddle player. So we played that music wherever we went. We were just trying to share that with people. So I don't think we unlearned anything. I don't recall people trying to, the record companies always wanted you to be more radio focused. We didn't. I just wrote really good songs, the best I could, and tried to get, and they would end up on the radio for some reason, a lot of them. So anyway, I don't know. We were always very proud of where we came from and tried to share it with people. And it must have worked because, we did a couple of reunion tours after John Morris passed away. And, I go out and sing. I've been singing some of those songs, Rankin songs that were radio songs, and some that weren't, that were sort of like cult hits, like a song called Mull River Shuffle. And, there's still people playing them at weddings and funerals and parties. And, Mull River Shuffle, they played, they played like at a club at the end of the night, this live version. And so for some reason, it's stuck with people, and it's still living without a lot of promotion.
Definitely. It's the grassroots of Nova Scotia. It's just one of those things. I mean, you just have to mention the Rankin family and everybody their ears pipe up and everybody knows who you are.
Well, it's true, and I've been focusing just on touring in Canada for the most of my solo career, but it's everywhere I go, everybody knows the Rankin name. So,
Yeah.
excuse me.
You mentioned John
It's
Morris, but we must mention Raylene as well, both who
that,
passed away. And I'm just wondering, what's something that grief has taught you that success never could?
well, we had pretty good success. We never achieved that sort of massive global success that I don't think we really knew what that was about or wanted it. We were just really bent on doing what we do and not selling out but anyway, for whatever reason. But success is, the success and celebrity that I have, whatever level it is, it's nice, but I think learning to enjoy life every day and don't take for granted your health or all the good things you have. That's at the end of the day, anybody will tell you that. We're all in the same boat, literally.
Yeah, definitely. Is there a lyric that you've written over the years that makes more sense to you now than when you first sang it?
God, that's a very good question. A lot of lyrics. I don't know. There's so many. Some of the songs I like even in my solo stuff, but like my earlier songs, just how the different songs I never thought would really resonate with people. Like songs that weren't even radio songs, people connect with them, and I bump into people. The answer is I can't tell you at this moment. It's such a. I'll probably think, can I call you 2 in the morning?
Sure.
God, I got it. But I get people coming up to me a lot. Just the other night, I was out at an event in Halifax, and somebody came up to me and said, there's this song, and what did you mean by that lyric and that? And I was like, oh, and think back to it.
Does it always kind of like set you back when somebody comes up to you and asks you something personal like that?
I'm so used to people kind of being for private people, which the Rankins were very, kind of not really ones to be out there in the limelight. I've learned to do interviews and stuff like that, but it's interesting that when people see you on a TV or see you on, the internet or whatever, people sometimes think that they can be very personal. They come up to you at a restaurant when you're eating and ask you in the middle of a bite. So I don't know. It doesn't bother me, and if it's no, not really. Sometimes if it's rude, which rarely is, people are crazy sometimes.
It takes a lot for the world to go around. It's the most Rankin family thing that's ever happened off stage that fans will never see.
Well,
I mean, you do have a cool story that I can think of.
Which was
about you when you guys were in London and you were sharing a hotel with all these amazing people.
with was that at the hotel we were with? Cirque du Soleil was there.
Yeah, that's a really cool story.
That was pretty cool. We toured a lot in the UK during the 1990s, all over like England and Scotland and Ireland some, which was sort of a goal of ours. And we played in London at some really nice venues. And we were touring this one time, and I can't remember the name of the hotel, but we pulled into the hotel. We had several days off in between shows. So pulled into the hotel, and it turns out the entire cast, what they could fit into the hotel, the entire cast and crew of the Cirque du Soleil and all their management, the guys who created that show, the brothers from Montreal were there. And I look over and there's Natalie McMaster, the violinist from Cape Breton. Alison Krauss is there, whom we had done a couple of shows with. So that was quite crazy because they had their own piano player and entertainer. And we had Howie and the musicians from Natalie and Alison's band and stuff. So, but every night, everybody would just hang out and, would hang out with the Cirque du Soleil management or meet the jugglers or whatever. And it would go late because, as you know, in England and London, they keep, after the bar closes, they keep the lobby open. So it would be like 5, 6 in the morning. And anyway, you'd go up to the bar and, you'd be standing beside like a dwarf or something who's getting, I don't know if is that politically incorrect.
No filter on Kevjet.
Anyway, it was fantastic meeting these people. I had a great conversation with the guys who created Cirque du Soleil, and then there was all kinds of great music, lots of Guinness, and lots of whiskey. But one of the last nights we were there before we went on the road, I went to see the Mavericks because their manager was there or something. They were playing, and I wanted to see the Mavericks. And I also wanted to see Cirque du Soleil because I'd never seen it. But I chose to see the Mavericks. And my sisters and some bunch of the band went to see the Cirque du Soleil because they were at 2 months at the Royal Albert. And we were staying up late. I mean, it was like everybody was partying, and apparently, people were missing their jumps in the Cirque du Soleil and dropping the balls, the jugglers. So we had a new guitar player on the road with us, and I was rooming with him. And I landed back one night in the room, and I crawled into his bed by accident and completely freaked him out because he didn't know me that well. The sins of youth, and he just got up. And he was like, the next day he said, Jimmy completely freaked me out. I just crawled into bed. I got into the wrong bed and went to sleep. I haven't. There's lots of those times.
Sure, touring the UK.
The danger of having 3 days off with the Cirque du Soleil.
Exactly. I mean, that's a story for the books.
And that's the edited version.
Exactly. Has music ever yourself?
Music, you hear musicians and people say music saved my life, but I was really fortunate to be around music. I mean, it's the first memories I have are listening to music and probably Celtic melodies because the community where I'm from, there's, growing up, there was, and still maybe even more so now, a lot of Celtic fiddle playings. My parents were huge Celtic, Cape Breton, Scottish fiddle based fans. So they'd have musicians over all the time. Then we had a piano. There were instruments strewn all over the place, a stereo that got worn out from just being played so much. So, and music all the time, like on the radio. There's always music. The dance hall where we cut our teeth in the music business was right across the fence. You could literally poke your head out the window and hear the band playing like in the 60s and 70s. Always bands, not just like fiddle music, but, country bands, rock bands. And there was a window in the back of the hall. If you poked your head out, you could sort of see the back of the band. And in the summertime when it was really warm, they would open the window and you could sort of hear the music coming out better and you could see the drummer playing or the fiddle or whatever. And anyway, so I was around music all my life. I absorbed it and it just comes naturally to me. First, it gave me direction. I was also wanted to be a visual artist. That's what I thought I'd want to do. But I played music all through my youth, and so it gave me direction in life. And it took me around the world. It's still opening doors for me. I've been very fortunate in that way, and I've worked really hard at it. But it gave me a great life, and I'm just. It's not, anybody in the music or entertainment industry will tell you it's not easy. I've certainly had great experiences and a lot of fun.
You're still doing it. You're still enjoying it.
I still am. And every day I get up, I have a nice piano here in my living room and I play the piano. I try to, I sing every day for an hour or so or write a little bit and play guitar. It's routine and I love doing it. Some days it's like working out, but most days it's just like, I like doing it.
If Cape Breton could talk back after all these years of songs written about it, what do you think it would say?
Thank you. What would it say if Cape Breton could talk back? Well, I think for some reason, Cape Breton, there's this, living in Nova Scotia, we have this kind of pride and it's like, for me, when I was a kid, it was like, okay, we're from Mabel, we're from Cape Breton, Nova Scotia, and then Canada, So any Cape Bretoners that come out of there, musicians, artists, that we're very proud of our heritage and proud of where we come from. And that region, that place, that island has produced a lot of artists and musicians, a lot of athletes and great people have come out of that place, for some reason. It's just people ask what's in the water there, but heavy water. But yeah, I think Cape Breton would say, well, thanks for carrying the torch.
Yeah. Was there ever a time you considered walking away from music?
This morning? No.
When Kevjet called.
No, there's sometimes it's like the music industry. I mean, I got in at a really good time in the '90s when there was something happening with roots music globally and Canadian music, and you could. But it's changed so much. It was never easy. Any musician will tell you it's never easy. And there are days when it's trying and it's just can be very stressful. I guess it's like a lot of things, but it is such an unorthodox industry and path to take that there's just no safety net generally for the arts. So it's like a roller coaster.
If you could write one song not to be released, streamed, or sold, just to exist, what would you write about?
I'd probably write a whole album. I don't know. I've never been a political, some people can write those songs really well and without sounding preachy. And maybe I've had a lyric here and there in a song, but I've tried writing all different kinds of songs, but not to be released. Why wouldn't I release it if it was a great song?
I don't know. Maybe it would be one of those secret songs. Like you hear, like Dolly Parton has said that she's written a whole album, but not to be released until long after she's gone.
Well, maybe she's naming names.
There you go.
There are some like that where it's to some that I have that, I would like to write and have written stuff that's maybe too close to the bone. So, you don't want to hurt people. So maybe that's what Dolly means.
Maybe that's what it is. What does home mean to you now after a lifetime of coming and going?
I had this conversation with the guy who produced my first 2 solo records. He was a Winnipegger, lived in Toronto for a long time, a successful producer. Tim Thornton was his name. When you're making a record, you have conversation, you have a break and you're talking. And so you get to know somebody pretty well. He was from Winnipeg, but he left there young and Toronto became his home. But he was saying, he told me one day, he said, you're very lucky that you have home, you have your roots. It's always a place to go back to that people will remember who you are, where you come from, no matter, the gossip and all that stuff from small communities and all that. So I feel very fortunate that I have that to go back to. It's like a sense, it's roots, really. It may sound cheesy, but it's true. And it gives you a sense of place. And I think that applies to not just people who come from small places. Like, I look at Martin Scorsese and, his best work has probably come from the stuff he knows best from New York or his community he knew. So that's what it means to me. And I still have a place in Cape Breton that's like my happy, sacred spot that I go to. It's rural and on the ocean and quiet. And that's where I want to be most of the time.
I always say that when people ask about being from Nova Scotia, I'm always like, I feel that you have a connection to something. You always have grassroots.
Yeah. And maybe that's, in my travels, I meet a lot of people from this region and not just Nova Scotia, but, the Maritimes. And I can't speak for the rest of Canada, but always people who are very proud of their roots here. For whatever downfalls we have here, economic or whatever, people are I think there's a different kind of mentality here.
Definitely. How has silence shaped your music as much as sound?
I think silence is very important. I consider myself the artist, but I think it's very important to have quiet and silence. People are afraid of being bored. And I'm never afraid of being bored. There are times when I like to be alone. And in particular, I love getting back. That's why I like going to Cape Breton a lot. It's so quiet, not a lot of distractions. I'm not chained to a computer or I have phone and internet there, but I turn everything off, and it's just really beautiful to listen to the ocean rolling or just wind or whatever, and I can do that for a while. And not have people around and quiet, but I like human company and I like crowds. I like cities, but I think it's very important for people, especially in this day and age with all the noise that's going on in the airwaves and on the internet and everything that's happening in the world. Quiet is peace. It's very important.
It is. Do you believe songs belong to the writer or to the people who carry them through their own lives?
I think the royalties belong to the writer. Ask John Fogerty from Credence. That's a very good question. because I'm very fortunate to have some songs that did really well on radio and without a lot of promotion, apart from me and, Heather goes out and sings Rankin songs. But some songs are songs that didn't have radio exposure or anything. And when they go out and people listen to them, and then there's like the Mull River Shuffle, for instance, it's sort of like a cult song and it continues to live on and not just with that generation. It's sort of being passed on to the children that went to the Rankins and then their children. It's like several generations now because it's 30 years or so or more. So they go out there and they belong to people. It's what they do with them, and that gives me great joy.
Yeah. One day when you're gone, what do you hope that people feel when they hear your voice?
I hear that now people tell me, people that I've been a lot of places with them. So I hope that, all you can hope for is that your music will live on somewhat, if it's not a lot of it, even a song, and that and I've heard this a lot about Rankins and Rankin music, and not like my singing and my sister's voices and Rankin's music that, they've played it for their children and it would calm their children, and they've played it in times of sorrow, times of happiness. And it brings people solace and joy. So, but that's all if you can hope for that. I grew up with the Rankins. Our music, we were entertainers, and our job was to make people dance and make people happy. That's all. If we continue to do that after we're gone, great.
Yeah, definitely is to feel joy or to feel feelings, I would say.
Yeah. I think that applies to art. You can listen to a song or go to a play or a ballet or anything, or look at a painting or something, and to receive some kind of make you feel something. I think that's what artists strive to do anyways.
Yeah. Finally, when the lights go down and the last notes fade, what keeps getting you back on stage?
I have 2 kids in college. Apart from all how difficult it is and everything, I do love entertaining. I love playing music and singing. When I first started with the Rankins, I think I was just yelling. And all these years later, I think I've become a better yeller. Like I said, I get up every day and I have this really nice piano that I'm not a piano player. I've started playing when I was a teenager, but never really owned a piano player until a couple of years ago. And I just like playing it and making sounds and singing. And sometimes people come over and I say, "Oh, you sing?" And then, okay, I'll sing. And then so people just like it. So it gives me great pleasure to entertain people and have people look at you and enjoy your music, so that's what keeps me going. I don't know, there's something in me that makes me want to get up on stage, apart from the, getting paid to do it, which is important.
Of course, it helps.
If I didn't like doing it, I would be very unhappy doing it.
Yeah.
I love doing it.
And you can always tell those people, you can always tell when someone's doing something that they're just doing for the paycheck and not because they love to do it.
Yeah. And fortunately, like I said earlier, even though trials and tribulations and the difficulties, I know that the good outweighs the bad. And I mean, you look at some of these performers that are still out there that don't need money, they just love to play.
It's true.
Willie Nelson is 91 or 92. And I know people that have worked with him, and he just loves to play guitar and sing. Here he's wired up and he's got his guitar out there still we just released a song. So, I mean, that's proof in the pudding.
It is. I like to finish off with my famous Kevjet quick fire questions, as you would know from last time.
I'm not good. I think you did this with I'm slow at these. My synapses.
The edited version sounds really good.
Okay. He can edit. By God, he was fast.
He was.
So fast. He still hasn't.
Let's start off with fiddle or silence?
Fiddle. Both, but fiddle.
The song you wish you'd written, but didn't.
Oh, Jesus. Imagined. I mean.
That's a good one. I mean, come on.
Especially this day and age.
Exactly. First place your mind goes when you hear the word home.
Babu Mines, where I have my house.
A song of yours that surprised you.
Fare thee well, love. The Celtic song that was 5 minutes long. That was with the chorus, the minute and a half into the song that went to #1 for 3 weeks on pop radio. That certainly shocked me.
Yeah. And still to this day, it's one of those songs that just hits you in the feels.
Well, it's kind of timeless in a sense, people still, I sang it. Oh, here, I'm getting off topic, but I don't know if you know of Celtic Colors. It's a big festival here. And I played that for the first time. I closed the event for the first time. And it's a crowd, people from all over the world. I sang that song. I wasn't going to sing it. And then I do an acoustic version of it with my guitar player. And there was a hall full of people. I thought I was okay, I'll sing this. I have to sing it because it's Celtic. It's a Celtic festival. Just in the middle of the set, I changed the set, just on the spur of the moment, decided to sing it. And I was going to sing a verse and a chorus, and I ended up singing the whole song. And it's like, man, it was just a magical night for people that may not have heard it. People were, it was like, it was lovely. I think they're going to use it on a record too, Celtic.
I hope they do. It's a beautiful song, that's for sure. Kitchen Party, Quiet Sunrise, or Last Call?
The last calls, I've done enough of those. You can't beat a quiet sunrise or a good kitchen party. So I'm kind of like both. Just depends on my mood.
Yeah, exactly. Usually the quiet sunrise happens just after the kitchen party. One word that describes Cape Breton without using nostalgia.
Cape Breton. I don't know. It's beautiful. I mean, that's too cliche. There's a lot of words that can describe Cape Breton, but it is a beautiful place, beautiful island.
A lyric you still don't fully understand, but you love anyway. Any lyric.
I mean, okay. Pretend I just got it really quickly. Oh, well, it's like there's so many lyrics, and I know so many songs.
And I find lyrics mean something. They change. Like I can listen to a song that I've listened to for years, and then if I listen to it today in this mindset, it means something totally different today than it has to me 10 years ago.
Exactly. And also there are writers that can do the double entendres or whatever, the multiple layered meaning. Dylan was great at that. He's got so many lyrics that you listen to them, every time you listen to them could have several,
Yeah.
Or Shakespeare was like that.
Maybe someday they'll say Kevjet's questions were like that.
Like I say, I'll call you at 2 a.m. I wish I had something that I could would inspire me to.
Who hears your new music first?
That's funny. I'm very shy with my new songs. Sometimes not even my wife, who's like, kind of the wrong look from her will ruin it for me, even though I know it's a really good song. Hey, by the way, she used to want to say, no, that Fare Thee Well Love's too Celtic,
She'll love that you said that in these.
Well, and I remind her of that frequently. You said that song. Who hears it first? Sometimes it's just a producer. Whoever, and I haven't done a record, but I'll play these new songs for a producer. But if I'm feeling really confident about something and I want to workshop it, I'll do it like in sound check or something, and not really tell anybody.
Which decade of your life would you redo just for the music?
You know what? Honestly, and you probably disagree with me, I thought the 80s was a lame time for music. It was all that experimentation with synth stuff that I know this, my kids, there's all this nostalgia for the 80s now, but I didn't really think it was that great. I thought the 70s were more fun. And I was too young to really enjoy the 70s, probably a good thing, but I think there was some great stuff that came out of the 80s, but it was all that hair farmer music and synth stuff that I didn't, and I remember driving a delivery truck and it was like, that's all you'd hear on the radio in some of those songs. But it's, people are nostalgic about it now. But I thought we got ripped off in the 80s. That was my feeling. And I was at, Radical Art College at the time. So people were listening to the Talking Heads, and which I liked, and like still like punk music and stuff like that and all that music that was inspired by punk that came out in the 80s. So I was around that, and I always like folk music, and I like good kind of edgy guitar rock and stuff like that. So I liked 70s rock music.
One thing you hope people never forget about the Rankins.
I hope. All you can hope for is that your music in some way kind of lives on, I mean, who knows? I'm talking 20, 30, 40, 50 years or, God, even longer than that. Music, our music and our sound, and who knows, no one, there have been composers that have been completely forgotten about who were popular when they were. So, I mean, that's not what we thought about when we were making music. So, but if you're fortunate enough to have your songs being remembered, after your career is over, after you finish recording or making music, man, that's pretty good. People still like your music, and to have it passed on from generation to generation.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Thank you for this conversation, Jimmy.
Well, it's been real nice talking to you. When are you back in Halifax again?
Hopefully in the next couple months. So we'll have to go out for a drink again.
You stay in touch with me.
I will do.
Mia's fantastic at staying in touch. Heather's pretty good. I'm awful, but yeah, for sure, get in touch. We had a bit too much fun the last time.
It was good. What time did you guys get out of there?
I think we left shortly after you.
Oh,